theyeshiva.net.
So the Gemara concluded that the Braisa that taught us, on the bottom of Tesamid Beis and the top of Yunam at Aleph, that halacha, which says that when a Jew plants a tree more than 30 days before Rosh Hashanah, in terms of Arla, he's covered for a year. Rosh Hashanah will be already the end of the first year and will begin the second year. And the question was, who is the Tana that is behind this Braisa? And we were not sure, because according to the Meir, it seemed like one day would do the trick. And according to the second view, the view of Rabbi Lazar, who says that you need 30 days, you still would need another 30 days. Why would you need another 30 days? Because you would need 30 days for klita, for absorption, for the plant to begin to take root, which only then can you begin your Arla count. Because till it doesn't develop roots, as Rashi puts it, it's like you put a seed in your house. You don't start counting Arla because you put your seed on your dining room table or on your counter. That's not called Arla. Actually says it's kamunach bebeisa, manach bebeisa, you put it in your house. Huh?
He's talking about a potted plant. That's what I think.
Yeah. No, the point is that it's... No. No, in other words, that it's halachically insignificant.
Right. Like a potted plant, you have a potted grapevine that you have in your house. It doesn't really count starts when you plant it in the ground.
Yeah. No, potted plant. Not an earth.
I think it's not an earth.
Yeah.
No, not a potted plant.
Yeah, so it would be like in your house, everybody would say you're not going to start counting Arla. So even though here, of course, it's not in your house, it's in the earth, and from this is the beginning of the process of planting. But at this moment, halachically, you have no significance. And Rabbi Lazar would need 30 days for it to take root. And then you have 30 days for the year. So you need 60 days, not 30. Our Brisa said you need 30. There's other views that Klita takes only 3 days. There's another view that Klita takes 2 weeks. You have all different types of views. If you have Rabbi Yehuda's view, it's only 3 days. Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon say it's 2 weeks. Rabbi Lezer says it's a month. But according to everybody, it's at least 3 days. If it's 3 days, you would need 33 days. So the Gemara answers in conclusion that really the Braisa follows Reb Meir. Reb Meir says 1 day suffices. The answer to that is there's 2 separate halachas here. Reb Meir says you need 1 day for a year. To have a year, you need 1 day, just like he says by the bull, by the par. That once it's 2 years old, it's 24 months. 1 day in the 3rd year is Chashav Shana. We consider it a 3-year-old par, even though it just began its 3rd year. No problem. Here, my issue is not that I need 30 days because I need a year. Mitzad, the year of Arla, Reb Meir says, give me 1 day. Erev Rosh Hashanah does the trick. Chav Tas Elul is your year. I don't care. The problem is, Reb Meir holds that Klita takes 30 days. Reb Meir never said Klita takes an hour. Klita takes 30 days. So you don't need the 30 days Mitzad Shana. You need the 30 days Pashut. You should be able to be counting. You should be able to begin counting. That's the part. You need to begin counting. When are you going to begin counting? You begin counting after it's planted. 30 days. Before 30 days, it's not considered planting. I'm happy to count and give you a year with 1 day, but I can't count it as 1 day yet when it's not planted. Was willst du? If you planted Tesvav Elul, so when is the Klita? The Klita is Tesvav Tishrei. What am I supposed to do for you? So I'm starting to count Tesvav Tishrei. You missed your Rosh Hashanah L'Natiyah. So Mele Shittas Reb Meir. The Gemara said, you need 31 days, because you need 30 for Klita, and you need your day for a year. So l'chayre, there should be a condition that you need 31 days, not 30. On this, the Gemara was mechadesh, that according to the Meir, you have to say, Yoim Lamed Oila Lekan Ulekan. That day 30 includes both components, meaning it's the end of Klita, and it's the beginning of the year and the end of the first year. and the end of the first year, the beginning and the end of the first year, even though you have one day where you're doing both. In other words, you don't even need a full day for a year. That's the vart. As we would say, the expression miktzas hayom kekuloi, not as kekuloi of the day, kekuloi of the year, because it's like a whole day, and a day is like a year. The Meir says that this is a few hours before the Rosh Hashanah is already a year. That's the Meir's shitta, and b'meila the Braisa works, and that's what the Braisa said. If you plant it 30 days before Rosh Hashanah starts your second year, if you plant it within 30 days, Rosh Hashanah is not your second year. You have to wait till the next Rosh Hashanah for your second year, as explained. The Gemara now goes to the next shtickle, moves away from this whole discussion with Arla and the minion of Shnois Arla, and gets into the discussion of the very two shittas of Reb Meir and Reb Elazar. Where did they come up with this idea? We're assuming Reb Elazar says 30 days, Reb Meir says a day, but why? Why did Reb Elazar say you need 24 months and 30 days to be considered a par? And Reb Meir says, no, I need 24 months and 1 day. What would be the Svaras HaMachloikus, which of course translates into Karbonis, when the par is kosher for Karbonis, and in other dinim, like we have here when it comes to Arla, because according to Rebbe Lazar, you need 30 days as the year, and therefore 30 days would not work, because you need Klita, and then you actually need 30 days, right? And then there's also before Shviyas. Zog the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Yochanan says that if you see the Furam and Beis in the middle of the page, the line starts Ulakan, Mamish in the middle, the center of the Amid. Amar Rabbi Yochanan comes Rabbi Yochanan and says, Ushneyen Mikra Echa Darshu. Both of them expounded one pasuk. Sometimes you have two shittas and they come from different psukim. The question is why this one embraces this pasuk and this one embraces this pasuk and ignores or reinterprets the other pasuk. Rabbi Yochanan says you should know that Meir and Rebbe Lazar, who argue what's the zman, what's the passage of time that can be considered a year, use the same pasuk. Mikra echa darshu, one pasuk they darsh. Rashi says Ushneim is Reb Meir and Rebbe Lazar. What's this pasuk? This is a pasuk in Parshas Noach, when we have the story of the Mabul, the flood that descended in the days of Noach. So the pasuk says that when Noach was 600 years old, the Mabul begins to descend on the earth. And then at the end of the story it says, Vayihi ba'achas v'sheish me'ez shana. It was in one, it happened to be that in 1 and 600 years, Barishan on the first day, Barishan on the first, Be'echad l'chaydesh, on the first of the month, Charvu ha'mayim me'al ha'aretz. That's the term of the pasuk. Charvu means the mayim dried up from on top of the earth. And the pasuk continues, Vayaser Noach es michsa ha'teva. Noach uncovers the lid, the cover, the roof of the ark. Vayar, and he sees v'nei charvu pnei ha'adama, the face of the earth has become dry. Reb Meir Savar, comes Reb Meir and he says, since it's only 1 day that he went into the year. Why? It says Vayhi ba'achas v'sheish me'ez shana, 601 years, b'rishon be'echad l'chaydesh. It's the first day of the month. So it's the first month, it's b'rishon, the first month, and it's be'echad l'chaydesh. In other words, you only went into your new year, 601, 1 day. It's not the second month, the first day. It's the first month, the first day. So it's only 1 day. And nonetheless, v'kakari la shana. And yet, the Torah tainas, it's called shana. Vahi ba'achas v'sheish, meyes shana. It's a new year. Is the charaya shmamina, yom echad b'shana chashav shana. So we see from here that 1 day of the year is considered a year, and hence Reb Meir maintains his shitta based on this pasuk.
How can you call it differently?
Yeah, what else would you say? You want to say it's in the next year, what are you going to say?
Rosh Hashanah just passed. Then it's the new year. You in the new year.
Good. And you call it v'achas v'sheish me'ez shana.
It's called a year. Doesn't mean that 1 day is called a year. That's how you count. When you count, you want to say where something.
But Torah uses the word shana. That's it. The Torah uses the word shana. Could have come up with another term. And therefore he says that you could already say on it shana.
It doesn't say 601, it says 1 and 600.
Oh, that's going to be Rebbe Lazar's diuk. V'idach. Rebbe Lazar says, I say you need 30 days. Not that I don't agree with your vart. It says Shana is Shana, right? But if it would have said Vayihi b'sheish meyes v'achas shana, like we would say in English, it happened to be in 601 years. First the 600 and then the 1, and then you would say the years. B'sheish meyes v'achas shana. I would agree with you that this is proof that one day is considered a year. Now that it says Vayihi b'achas v'sheish meyes shana, in other words, the Torah chose to put the word shana after the sheish meyes, not after the word achas. So perhaps we could touch the pasuk that Shnei Shmeis v'Achas cannot be considered a new year as long as you only went in one day, because Rebbe Lazar would say, I need my 30 days. Shana Shei Shmeis Kai. The word Shana only goes on Shei Shmeis, in other words, 600 years passed. Umay Achas, it says, Vahi Ba'achas. Ba'achas is Aschalta da Achas Kamar. This thing happened in the beginning of that year that will one day call Shnas Sheish Meis V'achas. But you can't yet include this as a year. So Vahi Ba'achas V'sheish Meis Shana. It's only 600 years. It's 601. It's not 601 years. I'm sorry. It's not the year yet. This is what happens after the 600. But I can't say it's 600 years because it wasn't. It was more. You already went into the next day, so that's why I say Ba'achas, Aschalta da Achas Kamar. It's the beginning of that year, which we're going to call one more year, but that could only happen after 30 days. That's the Meir shit. I'm sorry, the Belazar shit. Zog the Gemara, okay, so this explains that he doesn't allow the one day. But so maybe you need 6 months, maybe you need a technical full year. Over the Belazar, my time, what's the reason for the Belazar? He rejected the Meir because the Achas says before the Shana. The Shana goes on Sheish Meis, perhaps. But what's his reason for 30 days? The Ksiv, from the same pasuk. That's Rabbi Yochanan's point. The beginning of the pasuk, the end of the pasuk is, the continuation of the pasuk is, Barishan be'echad l'chaydish. No, it's only one day that you went into the Chaydish. Barishan be'echad l'chaydish. It's the first day of the month. V'kakari l'chaydish. But you're calling it the month. It says be'echad lachaydish, Rebbe Lazar says. So if it's be'echad lachaydish, you're already calling it a new month. Shma mina. What do we see from here? Yoim echad b'chaydish, chashav chaydish. One day of the month could already be considered a month. Or midi yoim echad b'chaydish, chashav chaydish. So if one day of the month could be considered a month, so you could learn from this that shloshim yoim b'shana, chashav and shana. That 30 days in the year could be considered a year. What's the connection? Why? Taka, it says be'echad l'chaydish, so the Belazar says the first day is considered a full chaydish. But how do you derive from this 30 days for the year? So the Belazar says as follows: chaydish limnuyav, v'shana liminuyeha. Basically, the chaydish is made up of minuyav. Minuyav is like it's units. It's units. What are the units that make up a chaydish? We all know 30 days. And what do we see from here? That one unit of the units that comprise a month is considered a month. So we supply one unit that comprise of the units that comprise a month is considered a month. That's what we learned from the pasuk. Barishain be'echad lachaydish. So Mamela Rebbe Lazar says, I apply the same logic and principle to the year. What are the units that make up a year? Months. 12 months make up a year. In other words, I could go further. I could break it down and say 365 days make up a year, but then I'm not being symmetrical with the month, because the month, it's the unit after the month. I have to do the unit below the year. I can't go 2 units. I can't break it up further. So I break it up once. 12 months makes up a year. And I say, Shana liminuyah, a year for its units. Such a unit, one unit, makes up a year. What is the unit? The unit is a month.
It would be 29 days also. It's a month would be 29 days. So you don't need 30 days. You need 29 days.
That's not exactly 30 days because
I'm saying the Laser said 30 days.
It means a month. It means a month. We assume.
A week we don't say because a week is artificial. A week we don't say because a week is artificial construct. It's not based on any.
Yeah, a week is not the unit of the year. Yeah.
It's not even like the month. It doesn't say 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Why isn't the weekly unit of the
Because it's artificial. A day is a
There's one thing that Torah says,
You're asking why the Belazar says Shloshim Yom, not Esem B'Tishrei Yom. L'cha'oid, I mean, in Pashtus, I would say,
It's not based
because
on
Chodesh Shloshim Yom, and he can't have a source to go to Esrim in other Shloshim Yom. You're for sure Chodesh. Esrim B'Tisha Yom is. He can be lenient that way. He's going to be more lenient, huh?
his life.
How many?
Oh,
No, it's not.
From his birthday, yeah.
Money is not.
okay. Yeah. Let's see Rashi. Good question. Let's see Rashi. Sagt Rashi, Vayihi ba'achas v'sheish meis shana. It happened on 1 and 600 years. L'soif ashtei aser chodesh shehischel mabel leidet. This is after 11 months when the mabel started to descend. L'divrei ha'omer b'tishrei nivrei ha'olam. We're soon going to explore two opinions, Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Yeshua, when the world was created. The world was created right before Tishrei, or the world was created right before Nisan. So when it says, if we say the world was created Tishrei time, so Mabul Yared B'Yud Zayin B'Mar Cheshvan Kedel Kamon. So the Mabul starts coming down. The pasuk says the Mabul started on the second month, the 17th day of the month. If you say B'Nisan Nivra Ha'olam, so therefore Iyar would be the second month. So it would be Yud Zayin Iyar. If we say B'Tishrei Nivra Ha'olam, so then we could say the second month was also Cheshvan. So the Mabul starts 17 Cheshvan according to this view. So have a high B'Rishon B'Echad L'Chodesh. When would be B'Rishon B'Echad L'Chodesh? It would be the first month is Tishrei, and the first day of the first month is Echad L'Chodesh Tishrei, the first day of Tishrei, which we call Rosh Hashanah. That's when Noach removes the lid off the teva, and he sees that it's dry. The Eyav Shali is B'Nissen. You can't say Chodesh Hazalachem Rosh Chadashim, and therefore we're talking about Nissen. Why? Sharei Mem Yoim Mabel. It's obvious. It says that the Mabel, the flood itself, continued. Vahi Ageshem Al Haaretz Arboyim Yoim Varboyim Laila. The Mabel went for 40 days. Afterwards, the pasuk says Vayigberu Hamayim Chamishim U'Ma'as Yoim. 150 days. Chamishim U'Ma'as 150 days. Shegavru Hamayim Me'elehen. That the water just on their own, the waters on their own, there was such a flood, it was surging and populating the whole earth on its own for another 150 days after the 40 days. So obviously Rashi says, Nimshechu, the Rabbi Sabach says, Nimshechu at Sivan. So this had to continue till Sivan. Because if you have 40 days and you start Yud Zayin Cheshvan, so when do you end? You continue 30 days till Yud Zayin Kislev, and then you have another 10 days. So you have Chav Zayin. So it's the end of Kislev. Now you need 150 days. You're not going to be done by Nisan. You need 150 days. Huh? 5 months. So in Mela you have Tevis, Shevat, Adar. Nisan is only 3 months past. So you have to have Nisan and Iyar. And then in Sivan, that's when the 150 days end. And then the Torah continues, and then it says that the Mayim started slowly to recede, chaser, to recede, to be missing, till the 10th month. This, according to Rashi's Cheshbon, famous Cheshbon in Chumash, and here he does the Cheshbon again, is the month of Av. Why is the month of Av the 10th month? Where is it the 10th month? Shahaya Asiri. If you start counting from Tishrei, it's not it's right, not the 10th month, it's month 11. Elul would be the 12th month, and Av would be 11. If you start from Nisan, it's right, not the 10th month. Where's Av the 10th month? Shahaya Asiri leaded is Kshamim. It's the 10th month from when the rain started to descend. If you start Cheshvan, Kislev, Tevis, Shvat, Adar, Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz, Av is the 10th month. V'oz niru Rashi Aharim. And it says then, in the 10th month, Noach could start seeing, or somebody could start seeing the peak of the mountains. But now it has to recede further. So the top of the mountains show up because the water was so high it was eclipsing the mountains. Now it starts going down until the first day of Tishrei, basically the 2 months of an Elul, Nivlu Hamayim, the water got absorbed in the earth. Now it makes sense. It was dry. So Noach basically saw this on Echad b'Tishrei, not Echad b'Nisan. Well, the Divrei ha'omer b'Iyar Yared HaMabul, Rashi says, if you hold that the Mabul started not in Cheshvan, but in Iyar, Then Havalei Hai Benishin Benissen. Then, of course, you're not going to be able to say it's Echad B'Tishrei, because from Iyar to Tishrei, you won't be able to do this Cheshbon. You're going to have to say that it was Be'echad B'Nissen the next year. If this is the case, Bein Lamar, whether you hold this view that B'Tishrei Nivra and the Mabul starts Cheshbon, or B'Nissen Nivra and the Mabul starts Yud Zayin, according to both, Tchilas Shnas Sheish Meyes V'Achas Le'Nichnesu Bo Ela Yom Echad. The beginning of year 601, they only went in one day. So it's Rosh Chodesh Nissen. But this was Rosh Chodesh Nissen. Your year starts Nissen. You went in one day. Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. You only went in one day. And what do you say about this? You say, D'ksiv be'echad l'chodesh v'kari le'shana k'd'ksiv ba'achas v'sheish meyes shana. It's already the new year. Hence Reb Meir says 1 day is a year. So Reb Elazar says, no. If it would have said, Vayhi b'sheish meyes v'achas shana k'd'ka'amre d'kari le'shana. Now that it says ba'achas v'sheish meyes shana, it may not be a shana. So Reb Elazar himself says, Kari le'chodesh t'ksiv be'echad l'chodesh, chodesh l'menuyev echad min ha'menuyin shalai. One of its units, one of its, so to speak, subscribers, chashav chodesh, sha'chodesh nimne b'yamim. The question is, maybe a chodesh is not made up of days. Rashi says, no, a chodesh is made up of days. The ksiv, the pasuk says, ad chodesh yamim, a month of days. V'shana echad l'menuyeh chashav shana, v'hi nimnes b'chadshim. The units that make up a year is month. How do you know? Maybe not. The ksiv. Rabbi Elazar says, Rashi is explaining the shitta. Ksiv. Rishon lachem lechatshe hashana. If not, you could say Shana is not made up of months. Remember, there's no real months in a year, right? Shnas HaChama doesn't have months. It just has days, 365 days. So that's what it says lechatshe hashana, and therefore we follow the idea that shloshim yom b'shana chashav shana. This is what Rabbi Yochanan says. Shnei mikra echad darshu. Now here, we have a major problem. The problem is, what is this 601 years since? 601 years of what? L'chaye Noach. In other words, from when he was born. What's Berishon be'echad l'chodesh? Rashi said, Echad l'chodesh is, say, Tishrei, and Rishon is the first day of Tishrei, right? So we're proving from here that 1 day in the year is 601 days. It's 601 years. 1 second. What if Noach's birthday, was already 7 months ago? What if Noach's birthday was on Purim? I don't know when Noach was born. But let's say Noach's birthday was on Purim. I mean, he liked to say Chaim something. I'm putting it on Purim. Let's say his birthday was on Purim. So he became 600 full years on Purim, and now started 601 years. So it's 6 months after his birthday was Vilstu. What's the raya here? When your birthday is the month of Shevat, so Rosh Hashanah, you're still going to be considered your old birthday. It's already 6-7 months after your birthday. And what if Noach was born Tzom Gedalia? What if Noach was born Tzom Gedalia? So tomorrow he's actually going to be 602 years old, right? He's 601. He's going to be finished it, and he's going to go to the next year. What's the connection? Rishon Bechad L'Chodesh has to do with the collective years. We're talking about Noach's birthday. What's the raya of Reb Meir? That's the problem here. You understand? That's what you asked. But Rishon Bechad L'Chodesh has to do the calendar. Yeah. It's not changes. What's today? Yudalit Shvat? I say when you were 43 years old, Yudalit Shvat. It means you became 43 on Yudalit Shvat? It does say. No.
It's the first month when he was 600 years.
No, but Rashi explained to us, it's Echad L'Chodesh Tishrei. You're not changing. You're saying you were 42 years old. You're 42 years old on this date. What, the date.
So the years you go for Noach, and the date you go to the years.
No. No, you're discussing how old he was. So you discuss how old he was, Gesundheit, and now you're telling me in that year which day it was. Where do you have a raya that only 1 day in the year went by? Not 1 year. If you're telling me it happened to be in the year, say Tov Shin Lamet, Barishan be'echad l'chodesh of Tovshin Lamed, right? And that year, it's a new year, so they're made as a raya, but you're not saying that. You're giving me the cheshbon of his birthday. So the Turei Yevon, the Shagas Aryeh, who has a commentary on Masechta Rosh Hashanah, and the name of the commentary is Turei Yevon, proves from here, very interesting idea, that when the Torah counts all the generations, the numbers of years that are mentioned in the Torah, in the beginning, Bereshis, Noach, all the first parashas, it mentioned the number of years, they never get counted from the day that they were born. But rather they follow, Lahavdil, this is what the Chinese do, Ad Hayom Hazeh, right? What do? As we discussed yesterday, the Rosh Hashanah of China becomes your birthday. In other words, if I'm a Chinese kid, I was born, Chavtes Elul, when is my first birthday? A day later. Birthday is a day later.
2 years old.
And it happens to be that in China it becomes complicated. Why? Because when you're born, you're already considered a year old. It's as though you were here a year. So actually a day later is your second birthday, not your first birthday. You're 2 years old. So you're 1 day old, but you're really you're 2. It's good for the license. Huh? That's why they live so long. Very good. It's one way of doing it, huh? It's one way of doing it. B'meila, what's pshat and what's the vart? The vart is your birthday is considered when it's the new year of the country. Because it's the new year of the country, this is your birthday. So the Turei Yevon says that the numbers of the counts of years of people in Chumash, you're not counting it from the day they were actually born, but rather from the first day when you count the years of the world. B'meila, according to Reb Meir, somebody who was born 1 day, or according to Rebbe Elazar, somebody who was born 30 days before Rosh Hashanah of Minyan Shnoisa Olam of counting the years of the world, so you'll start counting 2 years. You were born according to Rebbe Meir 1 year before, it's already Rosh Hashanah, it's a new year. If you says that you actually start counting from Noach's birthday, he says you have absolutely no proof. If Noach was born any month that's not Nisan or not Tishrei, and that month, that day begins the new year, so then it's not Chilas Hashanah. Reb Meir has absolutely no proof, nothing. And therefore, you would refute Reb Meir. As the Charaya, Reb Meir has a strong proof, and the only reason Reb Elazar disagrees is mitzvah the technical thing of Shana, that it says after Sheish Meir, it's not after Achas, because Vahi Ba'achas v'Sheish Meir is Shana. When would that begin? Not when Noach actually turned. Not when Noach became 601. It has to become Rosh Hashanah.
So he turned 600 when it passed already 600 years, or he turned 600 like by us when you go in the next year.
Yeah, but in the next year of the Rosh Hashanah.
In the next year.
So he lived already full 600.
Yeah.
Full 600.
Yeah.
That means that everybody has to
So
stop
I don't
from
understand.
Rosh Hashanah, from Gedalia.
So the Mabel started.
There was no tefillin then.
1 second.
Yeah, but when
There's also not some
if
Gedalia.
that's the Mahalach of the Torah.
What do you mean there's no tefillin then? The office were
You mean it's a bar mitzvah?
That's Meisai.
Yeah, it's a different cheshbon.
Huh?
It's a different cheshbon. Bar mitzvah is a different cheshbon. Bar mitzvah you learn from V'yichu ish charbay, that Shimon and Levi that day were 13. And that cheshbon is made with 13 me'es leis.
When is your birthday?
L'may nafkamina. L'may nafkamina. For the birthday cake? Bar mitzvah is me'es leis. Yom HaLedus is Yom HaLedus. We're not talking about Yom HaLedus. It says in Yerushalmi and Yom HaLedus Mazoli Goiver. Yeah? On the Yom HaLedus Mazoli Goiver. Huh? You want to know when Pare made his birthday party?
No, that's
Like he be Yom HaLedus is Pare.
When did they give brachas? That's all I want to know.
No, the birthday is the day you were born. You were born Purim, you were born Purim, you weren't born Rosh Hashanah. The counting of the year is that.
Noach was born Purim.
No.
And Tisha was the Mabel. So he was 600 years and 8 months already in this world, correct?
Yeah, 7 months.
7 months. Now the year went, the Mabel went for a full year. So the next year is 601.
No.
So what is the whole chiddush? He lives already 601 years, and because it's
No. He wasn't yet 601. That's the Vart.
when
Rosh Hashanah starts his year.
Started,
If he would have been 601 years on his
Mabel
birthday.
started, how old was he?
Noach?
Yes.
It says Vahi b'sheish me'ez shana. The Mabel starts Cheshvan.
So what, a low day means that there was 600 600 years in the middle of September.
So really, let's say his Yom Haledes was Tesvav Cheshvan, yeah?
Right?
Okay, let's say. When would he become Sheish Meis V'Achas Shana? Tesvav Cheshvan. But we say no. The Rosh Hashanah is already a new year for him. Because we don't wait a whole year.
So he became 601.
Yeah, Rosh Hashanah. But he Bachas V'Sheish Meis Shana. And still we're calling it a Shana, even though it's one day.
And still it started in Marvel, it says only 600 years.
Yeah.
No.
Because the Rosh Hashanah went in between. You're right. Because this was after Rosh Hashanah, Berishan, Bechad, L'Chaydish. Or after Rosh Chodesh Nisan, you're right. If the whole Mabel would have been before Rosh Hashanah, he would have remained that age.
So how old was he really by the Mabel started? How much years was he on the planet already? 600 or
Rosh Hashanah was just
601?
before the Mabel.
I don't know. In other words, if he was born Kislev,
Let's say any day, but it was the 600th year or the
You don't know how old
The
you are
599.
either,
or the
because
599?
how many
No,
you would have taken
599.
with the bike? It's another year.
no. If it was 599, then the next Rosh Hashanah would be 600.
But if the Mabel
It
started-
was 600, and the next Rosh Hashanah becomes 601.
So the Mabel started when he was 600, so the Mabel ended when he was 601.
No, because the Mabel, let's say, started Yud Zayin Cheshvan.
It was a year. The Mabel was
Huh?
a full year. we said.
But the Mabel was a year. But here we're talking about before the end of the year.
No, we're talking about
Yeah, because you went from Yud Zayin Cheshvan till Tishrei, so you're missing a month. You're missing a month.
before Tishrei.
Be'echad b'Tishrei. From Cheshvan till Tishrei, you don't have a full year, right? And yet his birthday changes.
So he's already 601 years old.
Mitzad Rosh Hashanah.
Right.
Mitzad Rosh Hashanah.
So that's why it says.
But only Mitzad Rosh Hashanah, not really. Not that he's really 601. Rosh Hashanah made him 601. Let's say Noach was born in Kislev. So in Rosh Chodesh Tishrei, he wouldn't be 601. 600.
How much was a year before?
599.
It says B'Shosh Ma'ashun it started in Marvel.
Yeah, no. Because it was after Rosh Hashanah.
Rosh Hashanah made it for his 600. He was really 599.
The Mabel started after Rosh Hashanah.
If you call physical years, it was 599. If you call Rosh Hashanah, it was 600.
The Torah called it in the 600th year because Rosh Hashanah made it for
Once Rosh Hashanah came in, it's Sheish Me'ez Shana. Now the next Rosh Hashanah is Sheish Me'ez Vachas Shana.
one day.
So it's a year from the beginning to the end.
It was not a year, no. It's 11 months.
11 months.
11 months.
Yeah. Cheshvan, Yud Zayin Cheshvan to Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. Not even 11 months. 10 months and change. That's the proof. Zog the Gemara, Miklal, from here we learn. This is in parentheses in your Gemara also? Parentheses? Yeah. Miklal, from here we learn. I mean, Rashi here is struggles with this piece. Okay. Miklal, from here we learn from the fact that Rabbi Yochanan says that Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Elazar both hold that this is the beginning of Shnas Sheish Me'ez Va'achas Tarvayu Svidalu B'Nissen Nivra Ha'olam. Both would hold that Nisan is the time that the world was created, and Echad B'Nissen is when the new year begins, because the first month is Nisan. If the world was created in Tishrei, then the first day of Nisan would not be the first day of the year. They both hold B'Nissen Nivra Ha'olam. So Rashi. Miklal de Travayu, Rebbe Meir v'Rebbe Elazar, the Travayu Moedish Zu Hoysat Chilas Shana. V'li nida the Loigar Sinanlei. This is a mistake. Dilma Rebbe Elazar Svidalu, Rebbe Eliezer Svidalu. Maybe they both hold. Maybe Rebbe Meir and Rebbe Elazar hold like Rebbe Eliezer, but Tisha Nivra Olam. It's a machlek between Rebbe Eliezer and Rebbe Yeshua. V'hai de Rishon Lavnis and Alatisha, like he explained before. But Rishon Bechad L'Chayosh is Tishrei. Mepneishu Rishon L'Brias Olam Olaminyan Hashanim Karelei Rishon. I have a big question. Why is Tishrei called Rishon? It should be Nisan. The answer is because it's the first one from when the world was created, and that's how we count our year. So you're calling it Rishon, even though the Torah says you should call Nisan Rishon. Or B'Seder Olam Tanya Behedya. The Rebbe Elazar Hai B'Rishon Tishrei. It says clearly in Seder Olam, so therefore Rashi is not goyres that there's a proof from here, but Nisan Nivra Olam, you could say both ways. Okay, so that's why they put it in parentheses, because of this Rashi. So B'Meila, we have here our two shittas of Reb Meir and Reb Elazar. The Gemara now goes into the very question that we're just addressing, and that is when the world was created, which becomes now the next sugya. Zog the Gemara. Tanya, we learned to Braiser, Rebbe Lezer says, B'tishrei nivra ha'olam. The world was created in Tishrei. Now the question is, where Rebbe Lezer got this? The Gemara is going to discuss that soon. But that's what Rebbe Lezer holds, B'tishrei nivra ha'olam. As it's brought in the Midrashim, even though the Gemara doesn't say it here clearly, that Brias ha'olam actually was in Chafhei Elul. Because the 6th day of Bria is when Adam and Chava were created. That was Echad B'Tishrei, which we celebrate as Rosh Hashanah, which is Yom HaShishi L'Brias ha'olam. Even though the beginning of the Bria was Chafei Elul, not Tishrei, nonetheless we say B'Tishrei Nivra ha'olam because Adam is considered the pinnacle, the zenith, the ultimate objective of all creation. So therefore, the whole world's creation is considered the day that Adam was created, even though the world itself was created not in Tishrei but in Elul. That's why we say Taka in the Tfilas Musaf of Rosh Hashanah, we say Zeh HaYom Tchilas Ma'asecha Zikaron L'Yom Rishon. We're calling it Tchilas Ma'asecha. It's not Tchilas Ma'asecha, because if Rosh Hashanah is the day of Brias Adam Rishon, Yom HaShishi, so you have Chafhei, Chavav, Chavzayin, Chavches, right? Chavtes, Lamed Aleph. So therefore, you're 6 days behind Tchilas Ma'asecha, after Tchilas Ma'asecha. But the pshat is because this is the kavanah of the Bria. The whole objective of creation starts developing and emerging through Adam, through the human being who basically carries on his shoulders the duty, the responsibility to fix the world, to change the world, to heal the world. That's the word B'Tishrei Nivra. Vaita Zakra Belazar, B'Tishrei Neldu Ha'avos. On Tishrei the Avos are born, and it's going to mean only Avram and Yaakov, because we'll soon see that he says that Yitzchak was born on Pesach. So when he says Avos, he means the majority of the Avos, Avram and Yaakov. B'Tishrei Mesu Avos. On Tishrei, the Avos pass away. Again, Avram and Yaakov. B'Pesach Nolad Yitzchak. On Pesach, Yitzchak is born. But Rosh Hashanah, Nifked Sarah, Rachel, v'Chana. On Rosh Hashanah, 3 women are remembered. Sarah and Rachel and Chana, all 3 of them struggled with infertility. And on Rosh Hashanah, they were remembered, which means there was the decree, there was the decision that they should become pregnant. Doesn't necessarily mean that they actually became pregnant on Rosh Hashanah, just as Nifked of Rosh Hashanah.
It's a short pregnancy.
We're going to discuss that. But Rosh Hashanah, you're saying because Sarah gave birth to Yitzchak on Pesach.
Yeah, but it says Ke'ez Chaya is a year, not also. Ke'ez Chaya
Yeah.
is the next
Okay, we'll
year.
see. We're going to discuss it in a moment. But Rosh Hashanah, Yatsa Yosef Mebeis Asur. On Rosh Hashanah, that's the day that Yosef went out of jail. Also on Rosh Hashanah, so of course this is in Tishrei. He goes out of jail. Once in the Tzafnas Paneach says in Chumash that that's why Paroi was dreaming about the 7 years of famine and the 7 years of plenty, because Rosh Hashanah is the Yom Hadin for everything that happens in the world. So that's why Paroi, he was dreaming everything that's going to happen over the next year, because it was Rosh Hashanah. So he had in his dreams what happens on Rosh Hashanah, and that's the day that Yosef came out of prison. But Rosh Hashanah, on Rosh Hashanah, slavery from our fathers was nullified in Egypt. In other words, 6 months before they were actually redeemed, which is of course Pesach, on Rosh Hashanah already they weren't being subjugated. Weiter, ben Nissen Nigalu, ben Tishrei Asidin Ligal, Rebbe Lezer says. The Geula from Mitzrayim happened in Nissen. The future of Geula is going to happen on Tishrei. That's Rebbe Lezer's shit. Comes Rebbe Yeshua, Rebbe Yeshua disagrees on many of these items. Number 1, you said Tishrei the world was created. Rebbe Yeshua says no. Ben Nissen Nivra Olam. And here again, the Bria Solam happened Chafhei Adar. Echad ben Nissen is the day that Adam was created, just like we said before in the Shitta of Rebbe Eliezer. So Rebbe Yeshua says ben Nissen Nivra Olam. Next, ben Nissen Neldu Avos. In Nissen is the birthday of the Avos. Who? Avram and Yaakov. Ben Nissen Mesu Avos. Nissen is the time that the Avos pass away. Here would mean even Yitzchak. But Pesach Noilad Yitzchak. On Pesach is the time of Yitzchak's birth. By Avram and Yaakov, we only know they were born in Nissen. We don't know the date in Nissen. By Yitzchak, we actually know that he was born on Pesach. Weiter. By Rosh Hashanah, Nifked Sarah Rachel v'Chana. On Rosh Hashanah, He agrees Sarah, Rachel, and Chana were remembered. But Rosh Hashanah Yatsi Yosef and Beis Asurin. But Rosh Hashanah, L'chayra Tishrei. Yeah, L'chayra no. But Rosh Hashanah Batla Avoda Ma'avasena b'Mitzrayim. Rosh Hashanah Avoda was nullified in Egypt, and Rabbi Yeshua concludes, unlike Rabbi Eliezer, B'Nissan Nigalu, and B'Nissan Asidin Ligal. The famous expression by Yidden about Chodesh Nissan comes from this Gemara. They were redeemed in Nissan, and they will be redeemed again in the month of Nissan. This means that Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua are arguing about a few things. Number one, the time of the creation of the world. Number two, the time when the Avos were born and when they passed away. And number three, the time of Geula HaSida or Mashiach comes. They're not arguing about when the Avodah Mitzrayim stopped, when Yosef was freed from Beis Asurim, and when Sarah, Rachel, and Chana were remembered. Zog the Gemara. Tanya, we learned a Braisa. Rashi says, Noildu Avos Avram v'Yakov. It can be Yitzchak because he was born Nisan. Nifka de Sarah Bazach Roinam Latayva v'Nigzer Alei and Hiroyan. Pregnancy was Nigzer on them. Batla Avodah Ma'avasenu Shishachadashim L'fnei Gulasam Pasak Ha Shibud. Even though the Makkah started a full year before Yetzias Mitzrayim, because it took 12 months for the Makkahs, so Makkah started Nisan, which is a year before, but the Shibud, the enslavement, stopped only on Rosh Hashanah. Tanya will into Braisa, Rebbe Lezer, and Rebbe Lezer says, Minayin Shabbat Tishrei Nivra Olam. How do you know that the world was created in Tishrei? Shenemar, that says, Vayomer Elikim. What's his proof? Vayomer Elikim, Tachei Haaretz Desha, Esav Mazriya Zera, Eitz Pri. The Pasuk says in Bereshis, on the third day of creation, what happens? The world of botany, the world of Tzomeach is created. So Hashem says, Tachei Haaretz Desha. Let the earth sprout forth Desha. Desha is basically all the grasses, all the greenery that covers the earth. Let the earth, Tachei, let it sprout forth Desha, become covered with all the greenery. Weiter, he says, Esav, grass, Mazriya Zera, which basically contains seeds that can then reproduce. Because how are you going to reproduce the next generation? Through seeds. Eitz Pri, it should also produce an eitz, which is a tree, a fruit. Oisa Pri Laminoi, which could then continue making fruits from its own species. Ashazare Ba'al Haaretz, by its seed coming into the earth. Vayihichen, that's the pasuk. So what is Rebbe Lezer medayik from here? He says, let's understand. When it says Tachei, it means that the earth should get covered up with greenery. Eitz Pri means it should be an eitz that has fruits. Ezo Chodesh Shaha'aretz Motziyat Shoyim Ve'ilan Mole Peiros. From all the year, which is the month that the earth, which is the month that the earth produces Shoyim. In other words, when you come out, basically everything is in full growth, it's covered with growth, and you have trees that are filled with fruits. You have Eitz Pri, have an Omer in a regular year. When is this? This is Tishrei. If you have a choice between Tishrei and Nisan, Nisan is just spring. So Nisan is the beginning. You don't have your fruits in Nisan. Nisan is just the beginning of spring. It's called Chodesh HaAviv. But Tishrei, at the end of the summer, now you go, the trees are filled with fruits, and the Desha is complete. Have an Omer Tishrei. So Mele Rebbe Lezer Taina is, let's understand something. Hashem was creating the world with a system. The system of Teva. The first thing he creates is Tachei Haaretz Desha, Esav Mazriya Zera, Eitz Pri. Right? And now this is the system that is going to continue. If you're going to tell me this is Nisan, then this was a unique event, and the system doesn't continue this way. Elamai, this was Tishrei, and now the cycles of nature went into effect. So Melavoim is a Nisan. There's a Tishrei.
You can say the argument for the opposite. So.
Why? Eitz Pri you can have Nisan.
It's not only Eitz Pri. He also did the wheat and the barley, and this is Pesach.
No, it doesn't. We're not speaking on wheat. It says Tachei Haaretz Desha, Esav Mazriya Zera, Eitz Pri. So it says Ezo Chodesh, that the Eretz is Motziyat Shoyim. Yeah, Rashi says Tachei Haaretz Tiskasev Tislabish B'Tishayim. She should be completely covered. Nisan is still the end of the winter, so it starts. But when is it completely covered? V'tislabish, meaning it's dressed up. The whole earth is, so to speak, dressed up with greenery. And Eitz Pri, Zokrashi, Shenigmar Period. The peri is nigma, there's already fruits on the tree, it's not Nisan, it's Tishrei. So yes, you could say, Hashem could do what he wants. He could make a Nisan Zolach and Eitz Pri. The Belezer knows that. But since there's a Briyas HaOlam here, and from now, there's going to be the regular cycle of nature that's going to continue, right? So he's assuming the creation happened in the way that it's going to continue to maneuver. In Nisan, You don't have this. In Tishrei you have this. Weiter he says, another raya, v'oisei apeirik reviyah. It's also logical to say that was the time of the year when you have Reviyah. Reviyah is the time that it starts raining. Reviyah is a time of rain. Reviyah comes, actually it's an interesting word. Reviyah means intimacy, right? Because that's what rain is considered. Rain is considered the intimacy between the heaven and the earth. And it's like the heaven gives a seed into the earth and the earth develops it, which is basically like the masculine and female relationship. That's what's called Reviyah, intimacy. So Zman Reviyah also was a time of Reviyah, meaning a time when it starts raining, b'meila, and they needed rain. What do we see right after the Bria Soilem? V'yordu kshamim, rain descendant, and simchu. But simchu they produced, which was going. Shenemar, it says in Bereshis, v'eid yalam in haaretz, v'hishka is kol pnei adama. Vapor comes up from the earth, goes into the clouds, and then it irrigates the entire earth. And the question is, when is the Zman Reviyah? When is the beginning of the Zman Akshamim? The beginning of Zman Akshamim is Tishrei. Tishrei is the beginning of the autumn and the winter. That's the Zman of Yeridas Akshamim, and it helps for the trees. Like Rashi says, V'oisei apeirik Zman Reviyah v'kaloymar. V'raya l'davar shebetishrei nivna olam shere l'kshamim hayu tzrichim. They needed rain, and that's why the pasuk says it started to rain. But Tishrei Zman Reviyah. Tishrei is the time when the trees need Reviyah, and it's a time of rain. Nisan is already the end of the rain season. Nisan is already, Pesach is coming. It's the beginning of Yemai Sachama. Tishrei is the beginning of the rain season. But Meiler Rebbe Lezer says, but Tishrei nivra olam, and that's why it was raining. V'hishkas kol pnei adam. These are his two proofs from Parshas Bereshis that when I have to describe what's the season in which the world emerges, Hashem is creating the season based on the natural cycle of events after that. It's a description, Parshas Bereshis, he says a description of the month of Tishrei, much more than what the month of Nisan looks like. If I would have to take a picture, this is a picture of Tishrei, not of Nisan.
Then in Tishrei, that in every period of the world, the trees gave out their parents right then.
Eitz Pri.
The rain is really for the next.
Because if you don't have Pri, you don't have seeds. How are you going to create how you have a new generation of trees? Rabbi Yeshua says, "Minayin shebenissen nivra olam." How do I know Nisan? Shenemar, he brings the same story, but the next pasuk. What happened? Don't tell me what Hashem said should happen. Tell me what happened. V'toitzei haaretz desha. The Eretz gave out desha, again greenery. Esev mazriya zera, grass that contains seeds. Ve'etz oisa pri, and an eitz that makes a pri. That's how the pasuk continues. Asher zara boilam minei v'yara lekim ki toiv. So the Belez is focusing on pasuk Yud Aleph in Bereshis Perek Aleph. The Bishur is focusing on pasuk Yud Beis. So number one, it doesn't say vatache. Hashem said tache aretz desha. So that's what you would expect. Vatache. No. Vatoitze. It says vatoitze. Also, it doesn't say eitz pri. It says eitz oisa pri. Zok Rabbi Yeshua Ezel Chodesh, which is the month. Shahaaretz meleya d'shayim. That the earth is filled with d'shayim, with greenery. Ve'ilon moitzi peiris, and the ilon starts being moitzi peiris, giving out fruits. Have a oimer. This is Nisan. Zok Rashi. Vatoitze yaaretz v'loikse vatache yaaretz. Ve'etz oisa pri v'loi eitz pri gomer. If it would say vatache yaaretz, Hashem says tache yaaretz desha. Let the earth, be moitzi d'shayim, and the ilon should be mali peiris. That was Rebbe Lezer's taina. But he says, it doesn't say vatache, it says vatoitze. Vatoitze is the pshat, l'cha'ira, that, not vatache yaaretz. Vatoitze, it should bring forth. In Nisan, in Tishrei, it's already vatache. It's done, it's already after the summer. Here he doesn't say vatache. Vatoitze, meaning it starts coming out. It starts, and the same thing is eitz oisapri. You start having, when in Nisan, you start having the eitzes are starting to create pri. You don't have peiris yet in Nisan. This is not Tishrei, this is Nisan. So you're telling me what Hashem said. Rabbi Yeshua says, I'm telling you what the earth did. And you see, it's a description, not of Tishrei, of Nisan. And weiter, v'oisei apeirik. Also, that time of the year, you're telling me was a time of rain. Let me tell you something else. It was man, behema, v'chaya, v'oiv shem, davgin zeh. It's the time when animals, domesticated animals, wild animals, and birds have intimacy, relationships with each other. When would that happen? When should Hashem create the world? In a time when there is activity to bring in a new generation or not? That time, because that's when you needed to create and populate society. Rashi says, the time for Tashmish, this is what they needed. This is a raya. Why? Because when is the time that animals usually have relations? Shenemar, the pasuk says in Tehillim Pedek Samachei, we learned it earlier. Lafshu charim hatzayin va'amokim yatvu var yisrei af yeshidu, which means charim hatzayin are fat sheep. Lafshu, they got dressed, which basically is a metaphor for they became pregnant. They put up an extra layer on themselves. In other words, they're carrying a baby. Amokim yatvu var, the valleys fill up with grain. They become badekt lisatev. They become covered with grain. Bar is grain. Yisrei au af yashiru. The grain is Yisrei ayu. It dances and it sings, as we learned before, that during the time of harvest, when the grain becomes ripe and there's a breeze, and what happens is the stalks pound, they bang on each other, and it's like they're dancing and swaying and clapping their hands. It looks like they're singing. When is this? The month of Nisan. Lav shucharim atzoyin amakim yatfuvar Yisrei au af yashiru. The Nisan is the time when the tzoyin become pregnant, because that's the time that the tefua becomes ripe, not Tishrei. When is the time of Zivug, he says? Do you think Zivug, in Tishrei there would be no Zivug? The Zivug between the Chayis would be in Nisan. And when is the Zman HaZivug? In Nisan. That's the Zman HaZivug. And the Chayra, when the world was created, it was the Zman of Zivug. So therefore, this is a second raya that it happened when? Not in Tishrei, but in Nisan. So the Belezer brings us two rayas, the Bishua brings us two rayas.
So the Sikh is Mashal that Hashem said one thing and what happened was different. He's saying that Hashem said that it should give out a peri.
Eitz pri and Eitz oisa pri.
So it's Mashal the earth didn't listen.
Well, actually, on this there's another Maimon Chazal. It's not discussion of this Gemara that Hashem wanted the Tama Eitz should be Katam HaPri. Eitz pri, the pri should be the Eitz itself. L'poyol it says Eitz oisa pri. The Eitz created pri. It's not that Rashi brings it over there. Ah. Let's just.
Computer glitch.
Huh?
You cannot eat the tree. There's no computer glitch. Actually, God made it because it should be in the man.
That's what Rashi said. That's brought to who says that? To Fer Shlomo Be'er Ma'im Chaim. I saw. That the Eretz had Mesiras Nefesh. Mother Earth had Mesiras Nefesh for man. It says that Esrig is an exception. The Gemara says by Esrig L'Kachtim Chabayim Rishon Pri Eitz that the Eitz of a period Shavah. The Sfasema says, huh?
Anyone ever tried eating an Esrig tree?
Did you ever try eating an Esrig?
Yeah, my shvinger sends me.
I know how. No, that's the Vart. The Mefarshim explain over there that an Esrig, the what is it called? The rind is much larger than the pulp. What is the usually? You take a look at a lemon, yeah? So what's the main part of the lemon? What we eat, right? Like with the grapefruit, yeah? Then you have around it, like in an orange, that little shtickle, it's called the rind. By an esrig, the rind is much larger than the pulp, and that tam is takatam, that's katama eitz. The tam of the rind is katama eitz. So Asema says, why is esrig called hadar? Pre-eitz hadar. You know why it's called hadar? That's what Asema in Sukkah says. But it's the only tree that listened, the only tree that listened. The tam eitz should be katama pri, so it's the only beautiful tree. That's what he says is hadar.
So if you listen to the good,
No, you have to understand also what's the meaning of Tama Eitz Ketama Pri. Okay, let's just see this line here. Va ve'idach nami haksiv Eitz Oisa Pri. The Belezer didn't know it says Eitz Oisa Pri. It said Oisa Pri, and that's what happened. And for the Gemara, who bracha l'doides udiksiv. That's a bracha for doides. In other words, Hashem was saying that what happened va'toitzi aretz desha Eitz Oisa Pri, that it created eitzim filled with fruits. But it also created eitzim that will be oisapri every single year. L'doides, you needed l'doides. But now when it was created, it wasn't oisapri. It was filled with peiris. L'doides, it's oisapri. That's how he answers Rabbi Yeshua's taina. V'idach nami haksiv eitzpri. Rabbi Yeshua knows that it says eitzpri, which means an eitz of pri. Eitzpri doesn't mean an eitz that's going to develop pri. An eitz with peiris, which means Tishrei, not Nisan. That's the Raya of Rebbe Lezer. Hahu Rebbe Yeshua ben Levi. This is following the shit of Rebbe Yeshua ben Levi. Who? Rabbi Yeshua. Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, a very interesting teaching. Kol Ma'aser Bereishis. Everything that was created, B'kay Masan Nivru, or L'kay Masan Nivru. It was created in full height, meaning full development. Adam and Chava weren't created as infants that can't move. They could move, but they can't function. Yeah, you see that they were mature people. The same is true with animals. Everything that was created, they were created already fully mature and developed with their full skills and their full prowess. Where does he learn from this? Where does he learn it from? He learns it from Eitz. He learns it from Eitz Pri. That all Ma'aser Bereishis was created b'kay Masan Nivru. Rashi says, V'hainu Eitz Pri, Roi Haya Liten Pri Miyat. That it was already, how long does it take for a tree to mature? We learned. It could take many, many years for a tree to be able to be capable. It's like a baby. You can't right away start having children. An Eitz is a baby. It's a sapling. But it was already Eitz Pri Pshat. Not that it was Tishrei. It was Nisan. But it was ready to go. B'kay Masan Nivru. It's not an Eitz that still has to mature. Everything is mature. And Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi continues. This is fascinating. L'daita Nivru. Nothing was created by force. Everybody had to agree to be created. Rebbeinu Shalom did not create anything without l'daita nivru. Everything had to be l'daitam. Rashi says, Shalom im chafetzin lihibaris. Hashem asked every single creation, do you want to be created? V'amru hein. They said yes. If they would have said no, no problem. They had to agree to be created, to get into this whole reality called creation.
How can you ask something if it's not created?
Jetzt willst du gleich gehen in Chassidus. Du willst gleich gehen in Chassidus, yeah? That's a very, very good question. If something is not created, how do you ask it if it was created? The Gemara doesn't even think to ask that question because it was pushed by the Gemara that you can ask it if it wants to be created. Huh?
What came first, the chicken or the egg, Rabbi? The chicken came first.
So the truth is that this question is brought, the Mefarshim bring so the Tshuvas HaGa'onim brings the question and says two answers. Everything doesn't begin in Gashmi. It begins with a Shruchni is the Kemoker. What we call in Sifrei HaNistas Seder Hishtalshalus. What we see in this world is the last stage of a long evolutionary process from Ruchnis to Gashmis. The Medrash says, Ein lecha esav milmata, she'ein loy mazel milmayla hamakaboy ve'oimer loy gdal. Yeah? So therefore, the consultation may not have been with the physical creation as we know it. And b'chlal, what does it mean to consult a horse, a dog, a hyena, or an elephant, or a bear, if you want to be created, or an ant, or a hornet, or a mosquito? I mean, everybody was created, a hornet. Mainly you can understand, you ask people. So, but everything has a certain koyach ruchni. But the truth is that itself needs because that was also created. The spiritual source of the nivra was also created. Another idea in Tshuvas HaGa'onim is that Hashem tuned into the Bria and asked himself, would this type of Bria say yes? And if not, he didn't create it. In other words, it was as though he asked it. Although the first Tshuvah says that he spoke, so to speak, to its mazel. Before it came into Gashmis, he spoke to the Ruchnis, the Keshoirish of this Nivra. But nothing was created by force. It's brought in Tshuvas HaGa'onim in both explanations.
So it could be certain things that said no.
Yeah, we wouldn't know.
It wasn't created by force, but by the force.
Very good. And Vaitari says, L'tzivyoina nivru. What's L'tzivyoina? L'tzivyoina means everyone, Tzivyon is shape, character. It's not just you had to agree to be created. You had to agree how to be created. You had to agree that these are going to be your characteristics. This is what you're going to be dealing with. You're going to have this, you're not going to have this. So it's not only l'daitim, it's l'tzivyon. It actually says, betam. Rashi says, betam kol echad ve'echad, ubitfus kol echad. Everything, tfus is shape, form, image. And tam kol echad ve'echad. everything has its tam, its flavor. So in other words, the word tzivyoinam is brought, tzavi in Aramaic means rotzen. So you say l'daita nivru, they were created with their rotzen, with their das. So tzivyoinam nivru, they were created with their rotzen. In other words, it's not only if you should be created, but also how you should be created, what you're going to be, what you're not going to be, exactly your identity, and what your life is going to look like. All this was agreed upon by every single one of Maisa Bereshis. Yeah?
Maybe.
It cannot be changed once it's created.
It's brought in some Svarim and Sifrei Chassidus from this Gemara that basically this is not just then. It continues.
What cannot be changed?
It continues.
Hybrid fruits.
It's not just Adam and Chava. Basically, every neshama that's born and every Maisa Bereshis, every person has a tzivyon. Has, first of all, the question is, should you be created? The second thing is, how should you be created and what should your life look like? And basically, this is a very powerful concept. That every soul shows exactly what it's going to go through throughout the entire life. Every even though it seems very strange sometimes, because people say, this, not me, you could have chosen somebody else for this. Huh? Yes, you could have chosen somebody else. But the mashmos here is that the soul knowing its full potential and its full mission wasn't necessarily looking for an easy path. Once we're living in this life, you just want to get rid of the headache, whatever it takes. But the soul understood that every single challenge is not really a challenge, it's a mission. It's an opportunity. There's no such a thing as a crisis. It's the mission that this soul was sent into the world in order to accomplish. So therefore, sometimes soldiers, generals, people of service are sent into the most dangerous zones. Why do they do it? Why do they do it? The answer is they realize that this is their mission and this is their skill. So they do it, and they do it enthusiastically. So when the soul was consulted, the soul was asked, is this what you want to do? And the soul says, yes, this is exactly what I want to do.
So someone's asking if that could be pshat in NASA.
It's a pretty loaded idea, I think.
No pressure.
Huh?
No pressure. This is what you want to do.
What does it mean in pre-Kovos?
Balkarcha chatachai?
Yeah.
How does it fit?
How does it fit with L'daitam Nivru?
You can't change your mind.
When was the soul created, though? You're saying Hashem asked the soul. When was the soul created?
He says, Kol Ma'aseh Bereshis.
So someone's
When
asking.
was the soul created? Hashem went and asked the soul, "Do you want to recreate it?" And such a way.
The truth is, it says in Medrash Rabbah and Rus, "B'min nimlach b'nishmasei and shal tzadikim," that the whole consultation of the world was with the neshamas. Ah?
Someone's asking, could that be the pshat? It says Nasa Adam. Then it says Hashem.
Nasa Adam. Vayomer Elokim Nasa Lashon Rabim.
Let us create then.
Let's to the malach.
Let
So
us.
Could that be the question that we're referring to? That
You mean that he spoke to the people,
Oh,
Nasa
very
Adam.
interesting.
Interesting, but that doesn't say by other. Here we're talking about old Ma'aseh Bereshis. The Yismach Moshe, I think, says that the Satmana, I think the Yismach Moshe, Vayomer Elokim Nasa Adam, that every other animal is basically after a few days, it's not mamish on its own, but I once saw a gazelle being born. Within a few minutes, it was running. I mean, not very fast, it was running. And for a human being, it takes years and years and years to be able to function independently. Some of us, at the age of 40, were still going back to our mother for supper. So, Vayomer Elokim, Hashem speaks to every father and mother, and he says, Nasa Adam, kum lame machen a mensch zusammen. For this, I need parents. Nasa Adam, let's make a man together. But I'll call upon him. That's Prat Eitz Pri. What's Eitz Pri? That Kol Ma'aseh Bereshis b'koymasa nivru, and then L'daitam nivru, L'tzivyoinam nivru. Now L'daitam and Tzivyoinam you don't see from Eitz Pri. Koymasan you see from Eitz Pri. L'daitam L'tzivyoinam means with their consent, and Tzivyoinam means with their will, with their desire. What's it Moisif? So Rashi says it's Moisif that your desire is not just to be created, your desire is how to be created. What you're going to look like. You know the Moisif with the Divrei Chaim, with the Tzanzer? Let's just finish, I'll tell you the Moisif. Shenemar, the Pasuk says, Vayechulu Hashamayim v'aretz v'chol tzavam. Al tikri tzvam ela tzivyoinam. He finished creating Shamayim and Aretz and all their tzvam. Literally, we take tzvam as their troops, their legions. He says, don't read it only tzvam, but kilu tzivyoinam. In other words, vaychul hashamayim v'aretz v'chol tzivyoinam, and all of their desires. He finished creating the world and all of its desires. Don't say all of the desires, because everything is exactly what it wanted to be. It's a very fascinating idea of how deeply rooted human consent is in the whole Bria Sa'olam. That nothing could be by force. Literally nothing could be by force. Why? Hashem is the Boirel, Mechvil the Bashafen, the creator. You don't like it, go find yourself another God. I mean, I'm the boss. It can't work that way. Everything ultimately had to agree. You have to enter, it's like a marriage. Asur la'adam, ein mekachnes isha elamidaita. You can't force a relationship.
Something more than that. Not only, you're not allowed to change. You shouldn't change.
This is what you really want. This is what you really want.
Could be that Tzivyan
This doesn't mean you shouldn't change circumstances in life, because
I mean,
the Tzivyan, yeah.
Could Tzivyan come from Lashon Tzeva, from the various colors also?
No,
Like we
that's
say, but
Tzivyoinen.
that's a different.
No. Here Tzavi means et gewalt. Utzvu lachada b'hayvada b'goy idin v'chol gatfen. I don't know if you say b'nei echala.
So it's not.
It's
Three Esri bonds.
Huh?
Three Esri bonds.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Agdamas shvuas. Yeah. Tzadik veis yud means rotza. But tzivyoinam with their rotza nivru. With their rotza.
So it's not.
Big day Tzivyoinen anymore. It's a big day Tzivyoinen.
Right. I'm saying it's not even.
I also thought it would be colored.
This hill said by your so like Shem is hill by your Irish. It still says it's not one color.
You have to find the right
Take it.
place.
You look at Ish. Shem says Ish. Still says no. So.
I think I saw one.
I was once davening in a shul close to my house, and there's a Rav there. It's Alter Yitzhak. His name is Chaim Reuben. So he's a Ben Achaben he's named after the Tzanzer of the Divrei Chaim. So he told me that he heard a Maisa from his Baba, and when his Baba said it to him, she was crying very heavily. She heard it from her Baba, who heard it from the person that happened to. Divrei Chaim Beziv Grishin, his wife's name was Ruchel Feige, and his Baba was named after her. The Seer told me, Reb Chaim. And what happened was, he was an Ilui and he was a Bacher, and he was learning in a yeshiva in Poland. And the Mechutin was the Baruch Tam. The Baruch Tam was one of the big Rabbanim in Poland. His name was Reb Baruch Frankel Tu'umen. The Sefer is called Baruch Tam. He's known as one of the Go'inei Hadar. And he had a daughter. The daughter's name was Rachel Feige, and to put it in his words, she was the beauty of Poland. She was something exceptional. So he went to find a good bacher. So he went to the yeshivas. He went into one of the yeshivas and he asked the Rosh Hashiva, who's the greatest bacher? So he pointed to the Divrei Chaim. He was 14 years old. So he goes over to his seat. And he starts schmoozing with him. He schmoozes with him for 2 hours. And he sees that this is Iddis should be Iddis in terms of Middis, in terms of Torah, in terms of Yer Shamayim. So he finishes the conversation. He says, Mazel Tov. I want to take you for my daughter. So you know how it was then. Chach Tayim Shalosh. And Gendikt. Comes home and he wishes his wife Mazel Tov, his daughter Mazel Tov. They start writing letters. They have to make Torah and prepare for the Chassan. His wife says to him, 2 hours and you make a decision like this? This is our daughter. How do you do this? So he says, there's nothing more to see. It was all good. She says, you have to check out a guy, you have to see him, and different vibes and praktische Menschen, yeah. So he says, so what should I do? She says, at least send somebody. So he takes 2 of his Talmidim, older Talmidim, and he asked them to go down and to continue scrutinizing this boy so his wife could feel comfortable with the shidduch. So they go there and they come back. They come back, he says, no. They say, did you see him? Did you see what he looks like? Well, he looks fine. Did you see how he walks? Divrei Chaim was ahinkadike. He was limp. He was lame. Didn't see. I didn't see. He says, I was talking to him for 2 hours. He was sitting, so I didn't see what he looks like when he gets up. I didn't see his stature. So I said, I don't understand. Our daughter, it's not fair. She was a beautiful, beautiful girl. Why should she marry a balmum? It's not fair to her. Doesn't make sense. he's horribly upset. His wife wants to kill him, of course, and he wants to kill. It's a horrible thing. On one hand, he wants to break the shidduch. On the other hand, he already made a commitment. They already sent letters. You know how it is. They already made I mean, they weren't married. So he felt horrible. He felt horrible. They didn't know what to do. It was already this man closer to the wedding. And to break his promise, he felt horrible. But to put his wife, his daughter through this, he felt even more horrible. So a little while before the wedding, the Divrei Chaim shows up at the house. And the Taka sees his mum, his blemish. And he comes to the door and he sees him. So he knew who he was. And right away he says, I assume that when you saw me, you didn't realize my blemish. So it was a mekach tos. So you could be mevatel the shidduch without any concerns, because it's not fair. You didn't know what you're getting into. There's no mamash a mekach tos. It was a mistake. It's fine. And so the father got very emotional because he knew that this was an exceptional boy. Tzanzirov he was. So he was crying. He was very emotional. And the Divrei Chaim says, the only thing I would ask you is, before you mevatel the shidduch, it's up to you and her. But if I could see her for a few minutes, the chvart, my kala, I just want to see her. She says, sure. So he tells his daughter that Jacobson came to see. So they went into a room, and he wanted to be private. And there was a mirror in the room. So Tzanzirov tells the kala, Rachel Feige, if she can go over to the mirror. So she goes over to the mirror. She gives a geshrei, she gives a scream. What happened? She looks in the mirror and she sees that she's lame, that she's limp. Her stature is not erect. And this was very strange. Now he was standing by her in the mirror, and he in the mirror was like standing straight. So he says, this is voodoo, what is this? Kish of Maisa, what is this? So he says, I'll be very honest with you, I'll tell you the truth. Kol Maisa Bereshis is the Chladaitum Nivru, the Tzivyainum Nivru. Before I came down to this world, I wanted to know who's my Bas Ploini Leploini, who's the Bas Ploini. So generally the policy is they don't show. I don't like this, I don't like her, she's this, she's that. I said, you could show me. I'm not going down if I don't see her. So they showed me who you are. And I saw that you have a type of soul that mitzad its story of life is going to come into a body that's going to be lame. Like bent over. You're going to limp. And so I told Hashem that since it's plag gufa, a husband and a wife are two halves of one entity, and for a woman it's harder than for a man, so therefore I want to take this upon myself. He says, it's not really going to work. I mean, this is her thing. So he says, I'm not going down. I want this, I'll take upon myself, and she should have what I was supposed to have in terms of the straightness and the beauty of the body. This is what I want. He says, you're sure? If you really want, it's litzivyoinam. So he says, yeah. The Divrei Chaim says, so that's why I have my thing, I have my body, and you have your body. In the mirror, you basically saw how it was lechatchila before I made this deal. So she came out of the room. She said, Mazel tov Tata, Mazel tov Mama, this is my husband. So Takano, the Divrei Chaim, the Tzanzirov had this limp, or he was somewhat lame. And Rachel Feiga was physically, her physique was mamish extraordinary. So they used to say, the Monsey told me to say that when you see a chisaron in your wife or in your husband, so you're right, people get very upset and they blame them. Sometimes it could be that what you're seeing actually belongs to you. You never know if they didn't accept upon themselves to deal with this so that you shouldn't have to deal with it. So instead of getting upset at them, it may actually be the other way around. Perspective has to be, well, what we can do together to fix this. But don't think it's only the other person. Sometimes it's actually a reflection of you. Yeah. Okay. This was Zivigrid. Yeah, there was another, I think, two Ziv. I think she died. So So bis da Divrei Chaim Yidden da? Ist da kein Sanze Yidden da?
Back on the Nach.
Huh? Nobody from Tzanz? I don't know. Huh?
Back on the Nach that we said.
The Divrei Chaim, yeah. The Divrei Chaim was once writing a tshuva, and his father, and one of his Talmidim came in, and he saw that he was working extra hard. So he said, what happened? He says that Tzemach Tzedek sent him a question, and he's writing back to the Tzemach Tzedek. And when you write him a tshuva, it has to be ois gehalten, al pi pshat, remes, drush, and sod. So it's taking him a while. It's not easy for him. But this is a very interesting Gemara. You hear? Everyone had to agree to their life.
What about those animals that were...
What? That's the same idea. Why would you agree to your life? Because you don't see it as a curse. You see it as an opportunity. So when you look at a challenge in your life, you have to see it that it's a journey to be able to transform it into light. Doesn't mean it's always easy. Sometimes people choose painful paths. We know that. Right? People who train for heavy fighting, it's painful. Training is painful and combat is painful, but this is what they feel this is what they're made for. Why they choose it? Why? Why did Yosef choose to be sold? Because he wasn't sold, he was sent. Huh?
The Neshama is begging to do it.
The Neshama says, this is who you are. This is what I would say. Pshat is, Pshat the Eibishter, before you were created, he doesn't know what you said. The Pshat is, what Tzivyoina means, he's actually sending you on a mission that belongs to you. It's your deepest ratzon. He knows it's your deepest. This is who you are. You can't not be who you are, yeah? I can't make believe I'm not me, I'm you. There's no such a thing. People who make believe they're not them can't be normal, because their whole life is fake. So he understood that you are who you are, and you're embracing who you are. You can't not embrace who you are. That's the Havon in the second word of Chubas HaGoyim. Yeah.
That Nas, I said one of the Shem, I don't remember exactly. God really didn't consult anybody about this. He just said Nas to show people that it's not a Shvach.
Yeah, Rashi.
It's Rashi?
Yeah. Nas says Lashon HaNova, humility. Fakert. When Moshe wrote the Sefer Torah, he said, this is the Chamakim for Kfira. Nasa Adam Chalila could sound like the Shteir Shuyas. So he says, Ksoiv, for Haroitza Litas Yita. You write. If somebody wants to make a mistake, they'll make a mistake. But you write. So why does it say Nasa? Derech HaNova, to teach people that they could consult. They don't have to do everything on their own. That's another pshat, yeah. Vashidina B'Yorim and Nasa Adam.
This class is brought to you by theyeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.